Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave, and I have this adorable card to share with you with Christmas sweaters, the stamp set in the holiday catalog. It is so adorable, and if you've ever been to an ugly Christmas sweater party, you know this is an awesome set. So I think this is so fun. So I chose to highlight this sweater because I love the Santa on it, and of course I think this whole stamp set screams Stampin' Blends. So what I did was I created this card by first stamping the sweater in black Memento ink on a scrap of Whisper White. Because of course when I use my Stampin' Blends I need to stamp with Memento ink. So just stamp that right there. We're going to give that a second to dry, and then we're going to prepare the rest of our card. So let me show you how that comes together. Very simple. I have a half a sheet of real red cardstock that I'll just fold. And then I've got a layer of Pear Pizzazz that I'm going to stamp all those sweaters with. Now, one of the things that I like to do when stamping a big background, and I sometimes forget to do this, is I can take a bunch of my stamps, put them on one block, and then stamp them at once, and then just fill in with one other stamp. So let me show you that. So I just took and put all my sweaters next to one another, kind of random fashion on this card. And then I'll go ahead and stamp it on here like so. Do it again. And so this is kind of like creating your own background stamp. You of course can do this with any images. And then I had one stamp that didn't quite fit on my background, so I can use that to kind of fill in where needed on here. So now I've got great coverage on my background really quickly. Okay, this is going to get adhered to my pool party panel, and I chose these colors because they tie all of the colors that I used in my sweater together, so that works pretty nice. So I'll just go ahead and adhere this. All right. On the inside of my card, I also have this panel. And I had, when I was cutting this piece originally, I had this kind of piece left over. So I took and stamped that once more with my little background. And let's see. I'm trying to fill up that space as best I can. I think just need a little more. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take this strip and adhere it to the inside with the sentiment. And the sentiment in this set is kind of sweet. It says, "Deck the halls with Christmas sweaters." So I think that's kind of cute. So I'll just stamp that right about here. And then we'll add this little strip just to kind of jazz things up on the inside of our card and kind of tie everything together. Okay, so we'll adhere this to the inside. And now that we've kind of done everything else, we can come back to our sweater and color that in. The coloring's really easy. I'm just using a few colors of Stampin' Blends. I've got Pool Party, Cherry Cobbler, Ivory, one of the Old Olive colors, the lighter one, and then my color lifter. So to color these, I'm going to start with my background and my Santa's face. So first I'll do Santa. I'm just going to take the Ivory and color his face. I'm being a little careful because when I got When I colored my first one, I kind of went a little crazy and I colored some stuff I didn't want to, but my color lifter came to the rescue and erased the stuff that I went too far on. Okay, so there's his face. Then I'm going to take and do the pool party around, kind of around the edges of Santa. And you can see I'm using my bullet end just because these are kind of detailed areas and I want to make sure that I'm getting just the places I want, not too much extra. So I'm doing kind of along the edges a little darker, like that. And we'll go a little bit more along the sleeve. Okay. Then we'll go over the top with our lighter pool party. And then we get a nice shaded effect. Now, pool party is one of those colors that's really light. So if I really want to see the shading that I'm going for, sometimes I come back and add a little bit more color just to really highlight those darker spots that I want darker. So kind of up along the seam of the sweater and the far side over here, and then probably down here. And that gives me a little bit more shading. You can see Santa certainly pops after I've colored that in. Now I'm going to do real simple. Oh, and I always forget this too. I want to do the back of the sweater. I'll leave the tag on there, but as white, but the back. Now we'll do the little trim on the sweater. I'm just doing that with my Pear Pizzazz. And again, I love that these just pull all the colors from my card together. I actually colored them first, but that's what I love about having colors that coordinate, because it's really easy to make a match. Okay, now last but certainly not least, we have to do his Santa's hat. So I'm going to do the dark color. Now here I'm going to be pretty careful because it's a little bit tight in here. And I don't want too much color, as in I don't want it to bleed out beyond his hat, so I'm being a little careful. So there we go, and then I'll come in with the lighter color, and you can see I'm still using the bullet end just to keep things okay, and you can see I've got it lighter at this side of his hat and darker at that side, and that's really what makes things pop. Now if I really want to highlight that, I could add a little bit of color lifter, and that would really kind of highlight some of the accent colors. Okay. Whenever I use red, though, I like to make sure it comes off of my Stampin' lifter, or color lifter, pardon me. Okay, now all that we need to do to finish this up is cut this out. It is a fussy cut, but thankfully it's pretty easy cutting. Whenever I fussy cut anything, you'll notice I like to keep my scissors kind of in the same place, and then I move the cardstock around. So you can see my scissors stay generally in the same place, but it's my cardstock that is doing the moving. And I find that it gives me really good results. I always like to leave that little white edge because I think that looks nice and crisp. And then it also will hide any of my cutting imperfections if I don't do it exactly perfectly. So there we go. Super cute. Okay, to finish this off, we're going to decorate this by adding a circle that I have die cut. I'll just adhere this right to that circle. And then we're going to add some tinsel trim, which I have right here. This is in the holiday catalog, and I think tinsel trim just goes hand in hand with a Christmas sweater, don't you think? I'm envisioning, I went to a ugly Christmas sweater party a couple years ago, and I borrowed a sweater from my friend Pam, and it was pretty ugly, but there was tinsel on it. So when I was looking at what I could embellish this with, at first I thought some red, the nice red sheer ribbon, and then I thought, no. This card calls for tinsel ribbon for sure. Okay, so I'll make my bow a little smaller. And to be honest, when I was making this card, I wasn't sure how I wanted the ribbon, so I just did a line around here, then I tied a bow and glue dotted it on. Because I wasn't positive how it was going to work out, but I do like the bow. So I'll put a couple of dimensionals on here, pop it up, and then we'll attach it to our card. So cute. I just think this card just kind of makes me happy because it's sort of silly and cute, and it's just fun for Christmas. Okay, last but not least, make sure the inside is oriented correctly, and then we'll pop this layer up as well. Isn't this fun? So I hope you've liked this. I have to say, though, that ugly Christmas sweater party I was mentioning, my husband had a sweater that we also borrowed from my friend Pam, and it was a Pinterest thing, but it was so funny. It was where the hands were like on the sweater. There were stitched gloves on the sweater, like the person was feeling up someone. It was funny. Okay, TMI. All right, there you go, guys. Thank you so much. Now, if you need any of the supplies, please shop my online store. The links are in the description of this video, including the link to my blog post that has all the dimensions and details and more photos of this card. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.